Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. I'm SocietySucks and today I'm checking out The Rise of Stalin by Mitsi Studio. Yeah, I already kinda know how Stalin got to power, but this is Mitsi Studio, so obviously this is going to be a more comedic take. Also, I despise Stalin, the Soviet Union, Russia, you know, just all of that in general, for many reasons. But yeah, let's see how Stalin rose to power.
What if I told you one man turned his own paranoia into one of the deadliest killing sprees in human history? We're talking, of course, about Joseph Stalin, the Soviet dictator who turned a notebook list of haters and suckers into mass graves faster than anyone could count. And in this video, we're diving into the blood, the chaos, and the power plays of one of history's most ruthless leaders.
Yeah, a lot of people seem to forget that Stalin was honestly just as bad as Hitler.
As the old Russian saying goes, the less you know, the better you sleep. So let's wind it back to the year 1878. Now, little baby boy Stalin was born in Gori, a small town in present-day Georgia.
So we're going to the very beginning.
As a young lad, he grew up in a very poor family, just like most Russian kids at the time.
Yeah.
Well, what did you expect? After some time of being hungry all the time, he somehow earned himself a scholarship to a prestigious religious institution somewhere in the empire. Not that young Joseph really liked the place and what they were teaching, but certainly it was way better than being back home getting your head caved in by a drunk and violent father. While Russian nationalism was all around him, he secretly began reading Marx, Engels, and Lenin. He embraced Marxist ideology fully, distancing himself from both nationalism and religion. Sorry, Jesus, again. As he rose to become a key underground organizer, young Joseph adopted a practical, almost vicious approach to getting things done. This earned him the name Stalin, meaning man of steel. Well, actually, he didn't really earn it. He just decided to call himself that. His real name
so he just chose it.
Yosef Vissarionovich Zhugashvili.
Too long.
And me, the voiceover guy, just charged an extra 50 quid to research that and pronounce it right. Probably still messed it up though. Please don't send me to Gulag now. Much appreciated. Anyway, back to the long name guy, now called Joseph Stalin. Now, think of him a bit like Superman, except the Russian version whose superpowers included starting famines and making political opponents disappear. Not exactly a DC comic sequel ripe for the picking. Any other left-wing comment?
Stalin, I wouldn't compare him to Superman. I'd compare him to, what was that rip-off Superman from that other show? Homelander? I think that's what he's called. I think that guy was like a genocidal maniac. I've never watched whatever show he's in. I don't even know what it's called, okay? But he looks like a rip-off of Superman, so yeah.
Just movie ideas? Alright, we're already in one. Well, here's another idea. Ever wanted absolute authority, but in plush form? Well, now you can.
No.
With your very own Joseph Stalin plush from our Bad Boys in History collection. Oh, he's unbelievably soft.
I'd rather buy a Hitler
legendary
plush.
Mustache, and unlike the real thing, this guy won't purge your ass. Well, at least hopefully. So, set this guy on your shelf, your gamer's desk, or just put him on your bed. This ruthless plushie is only available in stores for a limited time.
So when are the other dictators coming? Mao Zedong, Hitler,
before this oddly adorable dictator mysteriously
Putin.
disappears. So, our Man of Steel gradually became a key player in the Bolshevik Party. Now, at the time, he wasn't the most charismatic leader, but that didn't make him any less cunning. He operated behind the scenes, rewarding loyal party members while quietly eliminating rivals.
Quietly.
He also kept himself busy robbing banks all over the place. The most famous one was the 1907 Tiflis bank robbery.
I was not aware of this.
To throw bombs at a horse-drawn carriage in the middle of a city. The result? Well, 40 people died and 341,000 rubles in cash was stolen. This brutal attack,
I don't even know how much that would be worth.
Giving zero fucks.
Don't know how much it would be back then, but today, 340,000 rubles, well, it's practically worthless. I think the ruble is so worthless you could literally wipe your ass with it.
Well, basically anything. And a little later, the main attacker was captured, but he pretended to be insane to avoid execution. Although, when you're tossing around bombs on a city square in broad daylight, I'm not so sure if you need to pretend to be insane.
Yeah, I think you already are.
And after World War I started, Stalin was arrested multiple times and exiled to Siberia by train. Harsh, remote, and yes, freezing. Funny, isn't it? Somehow all the worst camps always seem to be in the east. Just something to remember next time you hop on a train.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
I
while
wonder
millions
why.
of Russian soldiers were dying in the trenches, Stalin was scheming, plotting, and writing letters about Marx, Lenin, and party strategy. And sometimes even escaping exile to continue his underground work. By the time the February Revolution of 1917 toppled the Tsar, the stage was set for Bolshevik control.
Yeah, exiling people like Stalin wasn't really the smartest idea. They probably should have either sent them to the front to die or just executed them. Stalin could have just not existed. He could have just been eliminated long before he started doing his shit.
The Romanov family was first placed under house arrest, moved several times until the captors decided executing the entire family was just way easier. Why? Well, because Russia is Russia.
Yep, that's just what they do.
After a world war that killed millions of Russians, the new socialist state was already gearing up for a back-at-home after-party, otherwise known as the Civil War. Now, this brutal clash between the Bolsheviks and the Whites would cost millions more lives, starting to make mass death look like a Meanwhile in Russia meme.
Well, look at 2026. Well,
Now,
just the
while being
2020s in
stationed
general.
the city of Tsaritsyn, later Stalingrad, Stalin helped organize Red Army units, ensuring discipline and loyalty among soldiers. His actions during this period contributed to his reputation for ruthlessness and practical efficiency. From 1919 to 1920, Stalin expanded his reach across southern Russia. He was no longer just a regional operative. He was a major figure in the Bolshevik hierarchy, combining military, political, and administrative power. Now, after the Civil War gradually ended, Stalin strengthened his position. In 1922, he was appointed General Secretary of the Communist Party. Now, that might sound like a boring bureaucratic title for such a guy, but since Stalin doesn't rhyme with boring, and General Secretary doesn't rhyme with political rivals staying alive, you can probably guess what happened next. Well,
I'm not 100% sure if I remember it correctly, but I think the reason he got that position is to keep him as far away from power as possible. Unfortunately, he controlled other people's jobs, which eventually led to him gaining power. So that kind of backfired.
Actually, Lenin died by a series of strokes, which is a natural death, which is kind of surprising. Oh, but before he died, he wrote down some thoughts about Comrade Stalin. Something like, "This guy is too rude, too dangerous for power, and get this guy removed as General Secretary ASAP." I guess Lenin had an aching gut feeling on his deathbed. Eventually, his death created a power vacuum in the Soviet leadership, which Stalin would eventually exploit to the full. At the time, there were three guys hanging around, all eagerly pushing for political control: Trotsky, Zinoviev, and Kamenev. Kind of like a Russian style, the good, the bad, and the ugly, except none of them were good, all of them were pretty bad. Oh.
And all of them were ugly.
Very ugly.
Yeah.
And the price to be won? Well, complete control of the Soviet state.
Until somebody executes you and takes control.
This situation into
That's pretty much just all of Russian history. Someone takes control, they get executed, that person takes control, they get executed, someone else takes control, that person gets overthrown and executed. It's just a cycle. It's all the same, you know?
We're good old Western. Sorry, Eastern Showdown. Although for Zinoviev and Kamenev, the epic showdown was actually more or less a firing squad preceded by a show trial, and for Trotsky it meant an ice pick landing in his skull. Somewhere in Mexico, which is pretty random. With his three biggest political rivals all residing 6 feet under, Stalin no longer had to pretend to share power. By 1928, he was in full control of the Communist Party, the secret police, and army leadership. Now, what followed was one of the world's most deadly reforms. This was Stalin's way of remaking the Soviet state in his own image. And by remaking, we mean fear, famine, and a shitload of factories.
Yep.
First came collectivization. Stalin forced peasants to give up their land, livestock, and tools and join massive state-run farms. Private property, gold.
I mean, if you know anything about history, you've probably heard of this before.
Were labeled kulaks and either deported to Siberia or shot on the spot. Grain quotas were impossibly high, and failure wasn't just punished, it was criminal. In the western regions, the Holodomor killed millions of Ukrainians. Entire villages starved to death. After a while, people ate bark and grass, and at some point, even their dogs and cats. Some Chinese chef is taking notes here. We will continue.
I mean, honestly, in a situation where you are basically starving, dogs and cats unfortunately become a legitimate source of food.
Stalin's bizarre life story in our part 2 video.
Wait, oh, they split this into parts?
To grab your Joseph Stalin plush
okay.
from the bad boy.
I was reading the comments, and I just saw one which talked about this. Jesus Christ is my... And this is Cyrillic. Now, I can't read Cyrillic. However, I think this is supposed to be the N-word. Jesus Christ is my... You know what? I saw a meme. I don't know what it was. I think it was like... It was some older guy singing. It was like... He was talking about something. It's big and keeps getting bigger because Jesus Christ is my... You know what? Just reminds me of that. Yeah, obviously... Not all of this is 100% accurate. Yeah, the Soviet Union, long dead, never coming back. I mean, look at Putin. He's trying to bring it back, but he's failing spectacularly. Whatever. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider subscribing and leaving a like. If you want to see more reactions, check out this video right here. And with that, I hope I'll see you in the next video.